The last thing that we're going to talk about regarding radical equations is solving radicals involving quadratics. Reminder that a quadratic equation is any equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We are going to use the diamond method to help us solve. Example 1. So we can see it's already a little bit different, right? Because there's a square root on one side and then there's a variable on the other side. So our step 1 is still the same. We're going to square both sides. So I put my little 2. On the left-hand side, it cancels. I get 12 minus x equals, on the right-hand side, we get x squared. All right, step 2, it says we need the equation to equal 0. Make sure your a value is positive in this step. So I would also write this, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We want to make sure that we write it in that order and that a is positive, okay? And we can see that a is already positive over here. So we want to move the x, the negative x, and the positive 12 over to this side with the x squared. And how we do that is opposite operation, right? So to undo a negative x, we're going to add x to both sides, plus x, and then the opposite of a positive 12 is a negative 12. Those cancel there, and I'm going to put minus 12 here. Okay, now we have a nice quadratic, and our a is positive, all right? So I'm just going to rewrite that down here. X squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. Now we're going to use our diamond method. Just a reminder, the c goes on top, the b on the bottom, and we want to times to the top and add to the bottom. So our c value in this quadratic is negative 12. Our b value is hanging out in front of the x. It's a 1. All right. Now, after thinking a little bit, you can see that it's going to be 4 and negative 3 that give us negative 12 and add to 1. Okay. And we're going to put this in what's called factored form. It's just with some parentheses. X plus 4, parentheses, x minus 3 equals 0. On to the next step. Step 4 says set each parentheses equal to 0 separately and solve. So I'm going to circle both of these, draw some arrows, and set them equal to 0. X plus 4 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. Start over here on the left. I'm going to draw my line, opposite operation. We get x equals negative 4. That's one of my potential answers. And then over here, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And I get x equals 3. That's another one of my potential answers. The reason I say potential is because we need to check these answers in this task, okay? And we are going to check, if you look up at the top right, we're going to plug in x in both places, okay? Because now it's in 2 different places. Let's start with x equals negative 4. So I'm going to write 12 minus negative 4 equals negative 4. Now remember, minus a negative just turns into a positive. So we get 12 plus 4 gives me 16. Okay? Now we want to take the square root of 16, which gives us 4. The question you want to ask is, does 4 equal negative 4? And no, it doesn't, right? So x equals negative 4, that is not an answer. That does not check out. Let's see if x equals 3 checks out. So I'm going to plug in 12 minus 3 equals 3. I'm going to take 12 minus 3, which gives me the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. Does 3 equal 3? Yes, it does. Yay. So x equals 3, that is our only answer to this problem. Okay, example 2 is slightly different than example 1. We need to use the box multiplying technique after step 1. All right. So again, step 1 is we have to square both sides. So I I'm going to write this a certain way. On the left-hand side, we have x plus 6 squared. I'm just going to write it twice because that's essentially what squaring is multiplying it by itself. So I'm going to write it that way. Equals, on the right-hand side, they just cancel, right? So we get 3x plus 16. Now, this is where we have to use the box technique. Now, I'm going to draw my box over here. We're going to put x plus 6 right there, and then x plus 6 right here. We multiply to get inside the box. So x times x gives me x squared. 6 times x gives me 6x. Again, 6 times x is 6x, and 6 times 6 is 36. I'm going to next take that out of the box and replace it over here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to write x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 36 equals 3x plus 16. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put those 6 x's together. X squared plus 12x plus 36 equals 3x plus 16. My next step is I want to get everything on the same side, and I want it to equal 0, right? So I'm going to take away 3x from both sides, and be careful, we want to put it under the like term. And in the same way, I'm going to take away 16 from both sides. These cancel over here on the right-hand side, which is great because now we have equal 0, which is what we want. Over here, I get x squared plus 9x plus 20. Now we're ready to do our diamond method. So I'm going to write that over here. Here's my diamond. 20 goes on top, 9 on the bottom. We want the two puzzle pieces that times to 20 and add to 9. And after thinking, we can see, okay, it's 4 and it's going to be 5. Alright, so those are my two puzzle pieces. My next situation I want to do is write it in factored form. So it's going to look like this. X plus 4, parentheses, x plus 5 equals 0. We're going to separately set those equal to 0 here and solve. X plus 4 equals 0. Take away 4 from both sides. We get x equals negative 4. X plus 5 equals 0. Take away 5 from both sides. We get x equals negative 5. Those are my two potential answers. Now we're going to have to check them, okay? In our equation, which is right here on the upper right, we're putting the x in two locations, all right? Let's start with this negative 4. So it's going to look like this. Negative 4 plus 6 equals the square root of 3 times negative 4 plus 16. I know this is a lot, but it helps us know if our answer is true. Over here on the left-hand side, negative 4 plus 6, that's just 2, equals 3 times negative 4, that gives us negative 12 plus 16. Further simplifying, I'm going to take negative 12 plus 16, which gives us 4. And then the square root of 4 is 2. So this answer checks out. X equals 4 is one of our answers. Let's see if x equals negative 4. I'm so sorry. Let's see if x equals negative 5 is one of our answers, okay? So I'm going to do that over in this other box. I'm going to write negative 5 plus 6 equals the square root 3 times negative 5 plus 16. Left-hand side, negative 5 plus 6 is 1 equals 3 times negative 5, that's negative 15, plus 16. 1 equals negative 15 plus 16, that gives us 1. And then we take the square root of 1 and we get 1. Oh my gosh, so we have 2 answers for this problem that will work. Okay, so you can potentially get 2 answers, 1 answer, or no solution.